Welcome back to Hackathon Entertainment TV. I'm Mr. Hackathon. I bring you the story behind every hack. In today's tutorial, I am going to show you how to build a note-taking app in Adalo. The note-taking app that we're going to create is something I created called Three Cool Things, and it's a note-taking app for after you meet a new person, for you to take the note and make a note of three cool things about that person so you can remember it for later reference. This is the app that I originally created in Glide, which is a great no-code tool for creating progressive web apps. So I can create a new note and it gives me options to create a new note. I can go to my notes and I can see my notes, and this is the details screen, and I can also see my profile. We're actually going to use Adalo, and we're going to create something like this. So this is a very similar screen. So we have our home screen, we have the My Notes screen. We click on the notes and you can see the details for the note. You can edit it, you can delete it, and users can see their profile and they can edit their profile. So we're going to build this in Adalo. The reason we're going to build this same app in Adalo, because Adalo can actually export to be put in the App Store or the Google Play Store, whereas Glide cannot. It remains a progressive web app. And we just want to show the process of how to make a native application without coding, and that's as simple as a note-taking app. So let's get started. What we want to do to start building our application in Adalo is create an account in Adalo at adalo.com. As you can see, it has an amazing front page, and you can see what some of the creators have made. They've made apps for speakers, and they've made fitness apps. They've made a variety of different apps, a deals app, food marketplace. And like they say, it's easy to create very stunning applications. So we're going to move forward. So I'm going to log in. And it takes me to my app by default, but I'm just going to click to open a new app. And it allows you to create a desktop web app or native mobile app. We're going to go for a native mobile app. You can build from the current templates, but I am going to start from blank. And I'm going to call this Note Taking App Tutorial. And we're going to create. We're just waiting for it to load here. It usually doesn't take this long. Now that our app has loaded, what you can actually see, it gives you a couple screens. If we zoom out a little bit, by default, it gives you a sign up screen, a login screen, and a home screen. And there's some things that are important to note here. The sign up screen, if we click right here, so I click on the screen, and if I click right here, you can see that the sign up screen has a screen navigation type of welcome screen. That means anytime a user visits my app and they're not logged in, it brings them to the welcome screen. As you can see right here, the home screen has a screen navigation type of home screen. That means it's the first screen if a user is logged in. So what we have here is a couple screens. We have a sign up screen, a login screen, and then the user will be taken to this home screen. Maybe it'll be a good opportunity to just talk about some of the things that are going on before we build our own note-taking app. What you can see here that is given you by default is a form, which is a component. It's giving you fields in that form that are grouped, but also it's giving you a submit button with actions. So with every element or every component, you can add actions. So if you add a button, you can add an action to the button that when you click on the button, it takes you to another screen, that it triggers a workflow, that it adds data to the database. There's a range of different things you can make a button do. And you add the actions through this right here where it says add another action. Every component gives you that opportunity to add an action to it. What we have on the left on this plus sign is we have components. So we can add these components. We can add text, buttons. We can add a simple list, the app bar. We can add navigation, forms and fields, or we can explore the marketplace to add some of the components in the marketplace. We can also add a screen. It gives us some screens by default. It gives us forms by default, and it gives us some tabs by default and app bars, list screens. It gives us a couple screens by default. And even, I just accidentally clicked off it. It even gives us a chat screen by default if we want to use it, or a modal, or a left navigation bar. But all of that you can make by yourself with some design ability. What we're going to do first, before we even add anything, I'm actually going to change this top app bar, and I'm going to go here. And this is a default app bar, and what I want to do is change the formatting, and I like the system standard font. So all I did is change that initial font. What we want to do, and if I look back at my other app and how I've made that, let's see. So what I did is added some text and add a button. That's what I did on the homepage. So this is what we're going to do on the homepage here. We're going to go to component. We're just going to add some text, throw some text there, add some formatting so I can align to the center. And I'm going to keep it standard system font. I might take the font size up to 18. And I'm going to say add a new note below. What we're going to do next is create a button to allow people to add a new note. Here's our button, and it allows us to create different styles for our button. We're going to leave it as the default. We're actually going to remove the icon, and we're going to change the text to add note. What we want to do next is, before we can actually add some logic to this, we need to allow users to add some data to the database. So we need to add the data to the database. As you can see here, the default collection is users collection. But what we also want is we want to add notes as a collection. And what I'm going to add is a title. I'm going to change this to title. And I'm going to add something called description. So anytime anyone adds a note, they need to add a title for the note, and they need to add a description for the note. Right here, currently, we can see we have no data in our notes database. What we need to do next is connect notes to users. So right now, if a new note is added, there's no way to really filter the notes by user and only show a user their particular notes. So we need to connect notes to users. And the way we do this is using relational. We do this using relationships. So we want to connect this to users. And now we have a couple options. And this is really important here to understand. It says a user can have multiple notes, but a note belongs to only one user. This is the true statement, but we're going to go through all the statements because when you're making a variety of different apps, you will select different relationships between data. The next one is a user can only have one note, but a note can have multiple users. This is not true unless it's collaborative. So if I can share notes with other people and I can add people to this particular note and allow other people to see this note, but this note only, a user can only have one note. But an individual user can only have one note, which is not necessarily true in our case. And this is a note can have multiple users or a user can have multiple notes. So this will be used, I think a good situation to illustrate this is that in terms of classes and students in school. If you replace note with class, a class can have multiple students. A student can have multiple classes. This is when you would have this many-to-many relationship. For us, we want to select this first one. A user can have multiple notes. A note only belongs to one user. And we're going to change this. We're going to leave this as user right now. So in our database, what you would actually be able to see is the title of the note, the description of the note, and who the note belongs to, and some defaults such as created and updated. Now we also, what you should be able to see here is that it automatically updated users. So when you have a particular user, if we add a user now, you'll see their email, you see all the notes that they have by title. You wouldn't see their password, but they will have a password. They will have a username, their full name, when it was created, and when it was updated. What we need to do now is create a form page for actually adding a note. And to do that, we're going to create a new screen. So what I want to do is to create a form. We add this form screen right here. New note. So now we have a screen called new note. Again, I want to change my font. This time I wanted only the fields. I want to connect it to our data collection. So I want to connect it to the notes data collection. And I want to create a new note. We have our fields here, the title, the description, and it automatically sets the logged in user. When they click the submit button, this has already been made for us. You know, they create a note. We can click on this and it says when they click the submit button, it creates a new note. And then the second action is it goes back to this home page. What we need to do next is just to double check. You can adjust the appearance of this app bar by just clicking on the app bar. You can see it can show us the app bar directly, or it can show us the left icon title, or we can add right icons. If we go to the left icon, we can see it already added an icon for the back button and it added a link to go back. So if we visit from this home page to the new note page and click the back button, it's going to take us right back to the home page. What we need to do now is connect this add note button to our new note button by adding an action, clicking link, clicking new note, and we need to make an adjustment. We don't want to push, we want none. So it takes us directly to this new note. So if we just take a look at that, what that looks like so far, I'm going to create an account. I'm going to sign up. It takes me to the home page. I click add note. It takes me to the new note. If I say note 1, this is my first note, and click create note, it takes me back. So what we actually can't see is the notes we've created, but I will show you in the database. As you can see, I just signed up and it's added one new record. It added my email. I don't have a username field, so it didn't add a username field, but it added my full name. And it has a new note because I just created a new note and it's assigned a note to me. If we go to our notes collections, you can see the title of the note, the description of the note, and who the user is. What we need to do next is create a way that the user can see their notes. We're going to do this using a list screen. So what we want to do is we want to, if we go to screen, lists, we want to show a screen with a custom list. Something like this. And call it my notes. So now we have a note screen. Again, we're going to change the title to have a font that I like to see. This time we have a list, and right now the list is not mapped to our database. So we need to say that this is a list of notes. And we want to filter the notes by the user. And just double check. We want to filter in the notes. We want to filter the notes, not by all notes, by logged in users notes. So now it will only show us the logged in users notes. We are going to change the list title to my notes. We are going to change some of these components. You can edit this custom list however you want to edit it. You can style it however you want to style it. But this is not going to be a design tutorial. This is just showing you the logic and how this works in Adalo. What I'm going to do to edit the components is I'm actually going to remove this button here. I am going to map the title. I'm going to remove this default text and I'm going to create dynamic text. What we want to do now is to actually dynamically map I think it's the current notes title right there. As you can see, it says note title. And we want to map the current notes description. Remove this subtitle. So now for every item, it's going to show the title and description. I want to change this button to say view details. Let's make this a little bit bigger. But as you can notice now, I don't have a connection from my home page to my notes page. And I want to create a connection, and I'm going to do that using if we can find it, in navigation, I want to use the tab bar. And this is not exactly best practice, but I am going to remove the third, fourth, and the fifth tab. So we only have 2 tabs now. Right now it says home, which is the current tab. We can change the current tab by going to the tab bar and changing the active tab. And if I go to the second tab, it says search. I want to change this to something like notes. So I want to find something that's like a book. Something like that. And change search to my notes. I also want to add an action to this second tab. And when the user clicks on it, I want it to link to my notes. I don't want it to push. I want none. And done. Next, I'm going to copy this to... I'm actually not going to add the tab bar to new note, but I am going to add it to my notes. And I'm going to change the active tab to the second tab. And this time, I'm going to remove the link that was on the second tab and go to the first tab and link it home. So I link that home. I don't want it to push. I want none. So now I should be able to, from home, I can add a new note. I can go back. I can go and see my notes. So let's see what this looks like. So I'm on the home page. Let's just add another note just for the sake of it. I created a note. It takes me back home. I go to my notes and I can see my notes. So I can see my second note. I can see note 1. If I go back, I'm home and I can make a new note. So what we maybe want to do now is to allow users to create notes directly from my notes by adding an icon right here that allows them to create a note and allowing users to view the details of the note. So first we're going to allow users to create a note directly from my notes. So I'm going to add right icon 1. And I'm going to say something like add right here. And what I'm actually going to do is, let's just think about this. I'm going to link it to the new note screen. I'm not going to push. I'm going to change that to none. I'm going to change the transition to none. But I think here we need to do something a little bit different. On the submit button, yeah, I think it's fine. On the submit button, it takes you back. So from my notes, when they click the add new note button in the top right corner, it's going to take them to this new note page. When they click create note, it's going to take them back. It's going to create the note and add the note to the database, but it's also going to take them back to the My Notes page. Next, we want to add a detail screen. So to add a detail screen, what we want users to do is when they click on a particular item, when they click on a particular note, it opens the note in details view. So to do this, we're going to add another screen. I'm actually going to see if there's a screen I like already in the templates, maybe info. Maybe I just select this info one and I'm going to say details. We don't have any images. We could select and upload an image. That's just a default image. And actually we just might do that. So I'm going to download a quick image. But you can dynamically add an image if you want to do that. So download this and image source upload. So we have our static image loaded in there. What we want to do next is we actually want to change this title text. Change that to system. What we want to do is remove this button. We want to change this to, and before we make any dynamic data happen here, I skipped a step. I need to go back to notes. I need to add an action to the note, link to the details screen, but this time I want to push. And I want to push the data of the current note. That just means it sends the data of that current note that the user selects to this page. So now what I can actually do on this page is if I remove this text here, I can select current note description, because what it's doing is sending the data of that note I've selected to this details page. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste that. I'm going to change this to current note title. So I have current note description, current note title. I have my back button. So just check that out and go back. So now we're going to review our app again. So I have my home page. If I go to my notes, I can see my notes. We added our icon. I add my icon. I do third note. I say, this is my third note. I can create the note and it takes me back to the note. You can see it's added my third note. But when I click on the details this time, it takes me to the details. It loads the image. It has the title of the third note. And it says, this is my third note. If I click back, it takes me to my notes. I click on the second note. It says, my second note, hello world. We do the same thing for the first note. And you can see the same thing. Maybe the last thing we want to add to our note app is we want users to be able to see their profile. So what we're going to do is add another screen. Go to screens. And I'm just trying to see if there's one I like by default. Let's just make this from scratch. What the screen we're going to add is actually the add screen. We're going to add another info screen. This default info screen here, and I'm going to call it my profile. Currently, I didn't add an option for users to add a profile picture, so we're going to quickly do that. I'm just going to change the font of the title of that page, and we're going to go back to our sign up screen. And when users sign up now, and you can add an onboarding stage after they sign up, it's up to you. If you wanted to add an onboarding stage after they sign up, you would add something between the sign up and login and home. So we're going to add another field. This time, first, before we add another field, we have to add a property in the user's database, and the property has to be image. And we add profile image right here, or profile picture. Save. Now, when we go back to the form and fields, and we can add a visible field, what we can actually do is add profile picture. And as you can see, it adds an option for us to add a profile picture here. Because we already have one user in our database, I'm just going to add, if I can find it, my profile picture directly to the database. As you can see, it's added the notes. Note 1, my second note, third note. So I added directly to my database, but now I want to show that on my profile page. The way I would do that is select image source from the database, logged in user's profile picture. Here, what we're going to do is remove all this default text, and we're going to do logged in user's full name, and maybe we want to center this. And I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to this time do logged in user's email. I have my back button, and then I'm going to double check. This is going to take me back. Okay. So what we have now is a my profile page, but we don't have the navigation bar on that page. So copy and paste my navigation bar. I'm going to change first I have to add a third tab. And I want to add a tab that's person. I want to change this to person, or my profile, sorry. I want to make that the active tab. And I want to make sure my first and second tab navigate to where I want it to navigate to. So I don't want to push, I just want none. And make sure the first tab, it links home. And I want to set that active tab to the third tab. So the last thing we want to do is change this tab bar again, and we want to add a third tab. We want to add and change this to my profile. We want to link that to the my profile page, and we don't want to push. And lastly, we want to do that with our first tab. So now we're going to preview our app again. So we have our home page, we have our notes, and we have our my profile. You can see the profile picture automatically loads, the user's name, their email. We're not going to go into it in this tutorial, but you can edit a user's current information. You can allow them to edit. On my other app, I do have an edit profile that allows them to edit their information. So we go back to my app. If we go to view details, we can see the details. We go back. We go to my profile. We can go back, and I don't actually want that back button there. So we're going to remove that button. We have everything we want to have on our note-taking app. We can change it for a different mock-up screen. So we have our home. This is our log out button. If I log out, it takes me directly to the screen. We have a sign up. And there is a slight design error here. What you can do is actually, if you make the length of your screens a lot bigger, you can actually do that with no problem. My already have an account was too low. And because the length of your screen doesn't matter too much. So now you can see I have already have an account. As you can see, actually, if you can see right here, the length is a much longer than that, but it cuts it off where it needs to cut it off, as long as there's not an element there. So I'm going to log in. Let's try to add a new note again. Create note. I go to my notes. I can see note 4. This is my 4th note. I go to view details. I can see the details of that note. I go to my profile and I can see my profile. So we have created our first note-taking app without coding in Adalo. What you can do if you want to share this under a free account, you can share this with for free. If you want to export it, I believe you need, if I go back to Adalo, if you want to export it, you need an upgraded account. I believe it's about $50 for the pro plan. This allows you to publish to the Apple and Google stores. It allows you to have a custom web domain, and it allows you to connect your data to external places. Anything above that is unlimited apps published to the Apple and Google stores, but that's $200 a month. So the $50 a month is a pro plan that allows you to create your first app with no code and publish it to the Apple and Google Play Store. People are making amazing things with Adalo. I think it's definitely worth checking out, but even just the free version is great for you. This can be used as a progressive web app. When people visit your link if we share this, when people visit your link, they can, this looks like a regular mobile app on their phone. Let me know what you think. Please, sorry. Let me know what you think. Please have a go at trying to create a note-taking app with Adalo. If you have any questions, let me know. My DMs are open. I'm always available to talk, whether it might not always be in real time, even if it's just me responding back to a message, or if I'm busy, I'll let you know I'm busy. Have you tried Adalo? Do you think Adalo is a thing you will begin to try? What apps do you have in mind to make with Adalo? Like I said, people are making a lots of different apps with them, from social media apps to different kinds of blogging apps. Let me know. Comment in the comment section below.